Come on, pick up. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to talk to my therapist. Every month I had to vent about the complexities of NASCAR throwbacks. I never said I was mentally stable. Well, it looks like they're not picking up. Who am I gonna vent to now?
What better way to honor racing history than to do a tribute to a race car from the past? You could throw back to one of the legends of the sports or even one of the underdogs. Maybe a veteran driver wants to reminisce back to the beginning of their career.
So let's take a look at the history of the NASCAR throwback, because I have nothing else better to do.
The first throwback scheme I could find was Harry Gant's final ride at Atlanta in 1994. Donning the look of his 1981 ride when he was first paired with his longtime sponsor, Skoal. All in all, a pretty faithful recreation, so we're off to a pretty good start. 2 years would pass until we get another throwback, and Penny Enterprises had us covered with 4-hole paint schemes ran during the 96 season for the 25th anniversary of their partnership with STP. The next year, Darrell Waltrip would celebrate his 25th year in NASCAR. To commemorate this, he ran at least 4 cars dedicated to his past. Here we have the first problem with a throwback, where teams don't have the original sponsor. But as long as you have a brand willing to bend their logo to make the scheme work, then it's okay in my book.
There was also a Pepsi Challenger car that was included in some diecast box sets, but for the life of me, I just couldn't find an actual photo of the car. But if you can find me a real photo of that paint scheme on a 1997 Monte Carlo, then you'll win... well, nothing, but I'll be happy that you did it.
It was also Texaco Haviland's 10th anniversary in NASCAR that year, so Ernie Irvan ran a car sporting Davey Allison's rookie paint scheme at the Coke 600 in the Fall Talladega race. There was a Neil Bonnet tribute ran by Michael Waltrip at the Fall Charlotte race. On the Busch Series side, we had Dale Jr. run a Wrangler car similar to what his father drove in the 80s at Rockingham. In 1998, we'd only get one throwback when Darrell Waltrip, unsponsored and his team about to be sold, ran one final race as an owner with a tribute to Tim Flock at the Spring Darlington race. Now obviously NASCAR took one look at the 3-digit machine and said, "Darrell, what the fuck, you can't do that," and made him revert back to the 17. So now we have a car that hardly looks like the original, and I can only tell it's supposed to be that because the guy's name is on the rear quarter panel. This one's not even fridge-worthy. The next year is the same with only one throwback, but this one's actually good with Dale Earnhardt reliving his Wrangler days in the 1999 All-Star race. Sponsor, number, everything's right about this one. The throwbacks would pick up steam again in 2000, starting with the Wood brothers celebrating 5 decades in NASCAR with a paint scheme representing each decade. The once great Bud Moore Engineering rolled up to the Spring Talladega race with their driver Ted Musgrave racing a scheme that Buddy Baker once drove for them back when they were competitive. Maybe this would give them the spark they needed to turn their luck around. It didn't. And then the team shut down shortly after. This would also be the last year STP was the main sponsor for the 43 car, so John Andretti had Richard Petty's 1972 scheme at Sonoma. A couple years later in 2002, we get Darrell Waltrip in a Tide Ride throwback in the Truck Series at IRP. He actually managed a top 10 finish, which, if you knew Darrell in his later years,
it was quite surprising.
On to 2003, first with Jamie McMurray running another rookie Davey Allison car at the Fall Talladega race. 6 weeks later, we get 2 throwbacks at Rockingham, first with Martin Truex Jr. and a Ralph Earnhardt car in the Busch Series. Then the next day, to celebrate Roger Penske's 50th win in NASCAR, Ryan Newman's paint scheme would resemble Mark Donahue's AMC Matador, which he scored Penske's first NASCAR win in 1973. In 2004, it was RCR's 35th anniversary, so at the Fall Charlotte race, all 3 of their drivers had paint schemes from their past. Kevin Harvick with Dale Earnhardt's Wrangler car, Robbie Gordon and Earnhardt's 95 All-Star car, and Jeff Burton with Ricky Rudd's Piedmont Airlines car. Jeff Gordon did a throwback to his Rainbow Warriors scheme at the All-Star race, and Martin Truex Jr. clinched the Busch Series title at Darlington in a Dale Earnhardt Wrangler car.
You know, it was nice every year getting 1 or 2 throwbacks. Maybe we get spoiled and a driver would run a collection of them. And then 2005 happened and we got overloaded with 14.
To start, we get Bill Elliott doing a one-off race for Chip Ganassi at the Bud's Shootout. This was a reunion with Coors, and I'd say they nailed the recreation of his ride from the mid-80s. Jamie McMurray would drive 4 different Shine-On cars using variations of the Texaco Havoline logos from the past.
Do any of these have any history in motor racing? No, it's just lame.
I mean, the Fall Talladega car is alright, the rest of these I fucking hate. At the Spring Atlanta race, Kevin Harvick had this interesting take on a throwback. He had this blend of his regular paint scheme and his 2001 ride when he first won. I like it, it's unique. Terry Labonte would do his part-time schedule in a few throwbacks. He got his 1984 Piedmont car at the Spring Texas race, his 1996 Ironman car at the Fall Texas race, and his classic Kellogg's car everywhere else. He also used this in the Piedmont car in 2006 as well. This was Rusty Wallace's final season, so at Chicagoland he drove his early 1990s paint scheme.
It was also supposed to be Mark Martin's last year. Until it wasn't.
But hey, at least we got some nice throwbacks from it. On to 2006, where we get Dale Jr. in another Ralph Earnhardt car at the June Michigan race, Bill Elliott in an early 80s Mellon car at Kansas, Brian Vickers and a Darrell Waltrip Mountain Dew car at the Busch Series race in Michigan, and then the biggest one of the year. All the DEI cars from Busch to Cup were dressed in the Intimidator's famed black Goodwrench scheme at the Spring Talladega race. 2007 would keep up the heat with nothing.
I mean, unless you want to count the 57 Chevy Bel Air cars, which... let's not.
In 2008, Dale Jr. would run a Buddy Baker Gray Ghost car at the All-Star race, and then at the Southern 500 at Darlington, we'd get something special. 3 separate teams would run throwbacks of Dale Jr. in a Darrell Waltrip Mountain Dew car, Bill Elliott in a 1971 David Pearson car, and Travis Kvapil in a Fred Lorenzen Lafayette Ford dealership car. All of which had some promoter at Darlington go, 2009, we get Juan Pablo Montoya throwing back to his 2000 Indy 500 win at the Brickyard 400, Kyle Busch in a Bobby Labonte car at the Spring Texas race, AJ Allmendinger in a 1984 Richard Petty car at the Fall Texas race, Jeff Gordon in a Darrell Waltrip Pepsi Challenger car at the Spring Talladega race, which went really well for him, for about 6.5 laps. And then we get Casey Kane in another Richard Petty car at the Fall Nationwide race at Charlotte.
And we all said, wow, that was weird seeing a Petty 43 on a Toyota. We'll never see that again.
In 2010, we get our first modified throwback with Steve Park running a Richie Evans tribute at the Summer Daytona race. I love the creativity with this, from the Nerf bars to that thing.
I'm being told that's called an air filter. Do not trust me to fix your car.
We also got Jamie McMurray in a Dale Sr. Bass Pro car at Fall Talladega, Casey Kane in a Darrell Waltrip Budweiser car at Spring Richmond, AJ Allmendinger in a Richard Petty car at Spring Dover, and Dale Jr. winning in a Dale Sr. Wrangler car at the Summer Nationwide race, which everyone lost their shit over.
In 2011, we get... oh, Jesus Christ, okay.
Mark Martin in a Tim Richmond car at the All-Star race, David Reagan in a Ned Jarrett car at Indy, Michael Waltrip in a Darrell Waltrip Terminal Transport car at Kentucky, Kyle Busch in a Kenny Schrader 911 car at Fall Richmond, Trevor Bayne in a Glenwood car at Fall Charlotte, Dale Jr. in a Darrell Waltrip Mountain Dew car at Kentucky and Fall Phoenix, Steve Park and modified car owner Lenny Bowler's Old Blue car at Fall New Hampshire, Dave Blaney and Richie Evans modified car at Fall New Hampshire, and AJ Allmendinger and Richard Petty's SDP car at Summer, Kansas.
I'm gonna pass out.
In 2012, things would calm down a bit with only 4 throwbacks that saw the track. Eric Almirola would run the same damn throwback the 43 ran last year at the Summer, Kansas race, but this time they added the ugly swoops to the number. Brad Keselowski would run a late 90s Rusty Wallace car at the Summer Bristol race. Trevor Bayne would honor Leonard Wood at the Brickyard 400, and Kurt Busch ran Ricky Bobby's Me car at the Spring Talladega race.
And he would make the most of it.
Shot, engaged. Yeah, 10-4. I don't want to bump into him and spill his macchiato.
On to 2013, where Trevor Bayne would start the season in a tiny Lund car at the Daytona 500. Denny Hamlin ran a Jason Leffler tribute at the June Michigan race 1 week after his tragic death in a sprint car accident. AJ Allmendinger ran a Neil Bonnet Country Time car at the Summer Daytona race, while Kurt Busch ran a Days of Thunder City Chevy car the day prior in the Nationwide race. And then there's Eric Almirola in Martinsville. At the fall race, they ran a Maurice Petty car where they changed the number to 41, which is at least a better attempt at what they did in the spring. That race they did a throwback to the first time STP was on the 43. This looks nothing like that car. For fuck's sake, they didn't even put STP on the hood of the car. In 2014, 3M ran a contest to decide what throwback to their old logos would grace Greg Biffle's car at the August Pocono race, and, well...
I don't think anyone won here.
David Strummy ran a throwback to car owner Junie Donlevy's car from the 70s at the Fall Richmond race. Both David Reagan and Bubba Wallace ran throwbacks to Wendell Scott at the Fall Martinsville races in the Cup and Truck Series respectively. And for Terry Labonte's final race at the Fall Talladega race, we get this beauty of a car. The left side representing his 96 championship, the right representing his 84 championship, and the center being his first ever car from 1978. This is cool. And then NASCAR took one look at it and said, Terry, what the fuck, you can't do that, and made them change the right side to match the left.
Now in 2015, we get the start of something special with Throwback Weekend! Woo!
Darlington would be the host, and all the teams were encouraged to run throwback paint schemes. The winner of the first race would be... someone who didn't.
Thanks a lot, Carl. Now, I'm not gonna go over every single car ran during Throwback Weekend because this video is already taken long enough to make and I want to kill myself. So let's pick a winner and a loser.
Some of the good ones include Trevor Bayne's Mark Barton Valvoline car, Ricky Stenhouse's David Pearson car, and Jeb Burton's Ward Burton Cat car. But without a doubt, the clear winner is Kyle Larson's Kyle Petty Mellow Yellow car. I mean, they went out and brought back a sponsor that hadn't been in the sport for 20 years, come on. Now, the loser for 2015 has to be Tony Stewart because he threw back to a boat.
a fucking boat.
Other throwbacks that year include 2 Rusty Wallace cars by Brad Keselowski at the All-Star race and the August Michigan race to celebrate Penske's 25th anniversary with Miller. Jeff Gordon in his Rainbow car at the Summer Bristol race. Brian Preece in his grandfather Bob Judkins' own modified car at Fall, New Hampshire. David Gilliland in a Jerry Cook modified car at Fall, Martinsville. And Daniel Hemrick in a Rick Corelli truck at New Hampshire. 2016's Throwback Weekend was filled with a lot of good schemes, including Carl Edwards' Tony Stewart Home Depot car, Jamie McMurray's Bill Elliott Mac Tonight car, and Bubba Wallace's Mark Martin Folgers car. For the winner though, I'm choosing Derek Cope with his 1990 Daytona 500 winning car. For the loser, I'm choosing Kurt Busch with his team adding the name of Haas's first vertical machining center, the VF1, to the hood of the car because apparently that counts as a throwback. Hey guys, look at me, I'm throwing back to the first time I had Burger King. Other schemes that year include Kyle Busch running an M&M's 75th anniversary car for multiple races, Regan Smith and a Mario Fiore owned modified at the Summer New Hampshire race, and then a Dutch Hogue modified at Watkins Glen. The 2017 Throwback Weekend's more notable schemes include Danica Patrick's Dale Jarrett car and Eric Almirola's Richard Petty 200th win car. But the winner for 2017 has to be Matt DiBenedetto's Bobby Allison 1988 Daytona 500 winning car. Being able to have Keen Parts change their logo to match Miller really sells it.
The loser this year was Ricky Stenhouse's Darrell Waltrip Western Auto car because they had to change the colors to match Fifth Third Bank. And that's a cardinal sin.
The other throwbacks that year were Carl Long's 2009 car at Spring, Kansas, James Davison's Days of Thunder car at Road America, Dale Jr.'s Buddy Baker car at Fall Martinsville, Brad Keselowski's Navy car from his time at Junior Motorsports at Fall Talladega, Ricky Stenhouse's Robert Yates owned car at Fall Phoenix, John Hunter Nemechek's Joe Nemechek Belf South truck and Chase Briscoe's Bob Keselowski truck at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and then we get to Homestead. Both Dale Jr. and Matt Kenseth were set to make their apparent final starts as full-time drivers, so they both did throwbacks to their 2000 rookie season.
On to 2018, where... You still there? Am I still here?
There were a lot of good schemes for the Throwback Weekend that year, including Ricky Stenhouse's Chad Little car, Joey Logano's Steve Park car, and Kyle Busch's Ernie Irvan car. For the winner, I'm choosing Kurt Busch's 2003 Throwback. I love how they reworked the Haas logo to look like Rubbermaid and changed the Sharpie to... whatever that thing is. Now, Timmy Hill's team announced that they were gonna run a Darrell Waltrip car from his 2000 season. Then they picked up a sponsor, so let's see how they worked it in, and oh my god, what did they do to it? Why is it so big? Other throwbacks that year were Matt Kenseth's Mark Martin 1998 All-Star car and Casey Kane's 2008 All-Star car at the All-Star race, Bill Elliott's Budweiser car from his time at Junior Johnson at Road America, and to go out with a bang for Lowe's final year at Jimmy Johnson, they ran his 2001 Power of Pride car at Fall Phoenix and his 2002 rookie car at Homestead. Okay, on to 2019, where Throwback Weekend had cars like Clint Bowyer's Tony Stewart 2011 car.
The winner is Landon Castle's Sterling Marlin car, and I'm gonna say it. This is the best throwback ever. And they didn't even have the sponsor for it. I think it actually adds with how good they mimicked the Coors Light logo.
The loser goes to Tyler Reddick's Kyle Petty 7-Eleven car because they didn't use the same colors. You even had 7-Eleven on the car and you still failed. The other schemes ran that year were Ty Dillon's Richard Childress 1969 car at Fall Talladega, Austin Terrio's Roger Haynes tribute at Fall Talladega, and for Darrell Waltrip's final race as a broadcaster at Sonoma, 3 teams would run schemes that he ran in his driving career.
Now everyone remembers 2020 for one thing. That being the trucks went back to Darlington. Fuck yeah, more throwbacks!
The good ones this Throwback Weekend included Jimmy Johnson's combined throwback to Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt, Chad Fincham's Jerry Nadeau car, and Brandon Jones' Robert Huffman car. The winner goes to JJ Yaley and his Kenny Irwin Jr. Nerf car. Getting the Jacob Company's logo to mimic both Nerf and Winner's Circle really pushes it over the edge.
And let's be honest, that's the only winning a Rick Ware car would do that year.
The loser goes to Eric Jones' throwback to a car Tony Stewart ran in Martinsville in 2005 because again they had to change the colors. The other throwbacks that year were Brandon Jones' Bobby Labonte car at the Xfinity Series opener at Daytona, Christopher Bell's car from Levine Family Racing's first start at Fall, Texas, Andy Lally's Mark Martin Apache Stoves car at Road America and the Daytona Road Course, Austin Hill's tribute to Toyota's 1993 24 Hours of Daytona win at the Daytona Road Course, Brett Moffitt's 2 Harry Gant rides at Fall Martinsville, Brett Moffitt again with the Jimmy Johnson car at the Truck Phoenix finale, and William Byron's Ricky Hendrick car throughout the month of October, which would just become the normal scheme for any HendrickCars.com car going forward.
NASCAR raced at Darlington 3 times in 2020 for reasons, but in 2021 they'd officially get a second date, so which race gets the Throwback Weekend? Well, the Southern 500's in the playoffs and should be taken more serious, so the spring date would be the new home for the Throwback Weekend. That didn't stop teams running throwbacks in the playoffs though.
The better throwbacks that year include Timmy Hill's Kenny Irwin Jr. truck, Justin Allgaier's Dale Earnhardt Tasmanian Devil car, and Michael McDowell's Bill Elliott car. Corey LaJoie's Alan Kowicki car wins because, like in 2015, they brought an old sponsor back into the sport.
Now for the loser, I have to give you fair warning for what you're about to see. You ready? Okay. 3, 2, 1. What the fuck? This is not a Ricky Craven throwback. This is an affront to God. Ricky Steinhaus is not getting into heaven. If it exists, he's going straight to hell. Let's look at the other ones.
Kevin Harvick's Gravedigger tribute at Nashville, Corey LaJoie's Stroker Ace car at Fall, Kansas, Joey Gase's multiple Davey Allison cars at Spring Talladega, and Andy Lally's Jeff Bodine car at Road America. 2022 was the introduction of the next-gen car, which added a problem. That's supposed to be there. For old schemes like Matt Kenseth and Mark Martin's 2004 cars that had their designs work around the door number, teams would have to modify the designs or risk having it look weird with the new number placement. This year we have two winners, with Trackhouse Racing throwing back to Dale Sr. and Jr.'s cars that raced in Japan in 1998. The loser goes to Kevin Harvick's 2011 Rheem breast cancer awareness car because it's not even a throwback, it's just a color-swapped version of the Rheem car they were running that year, but they called it one anyways. Other schemes that year were Jeremy Clements' Dale Sr. first ever race car at Watkins Glen, Kyle Sieg's Davey Allison 1999 car at Charlotte, Bailey Curry's old late model at Coda, Chris Buescher's Matt Kenseth 2012 fifth third bank car at Paul Martinsville, Kyle Weatherman's Wendell Scott car, and Ryan Ellis's Jeff Gordon car at Fall Darlington, which would have won had it actually ran during Throwback Weekend. On to 2023, where Throwback Weekend would give us gems like Riley Herbst's Ken Block tribute, Ryan Newman's 2002 car, and Ross Chastain's Dale Jarrett car.
For the winner, I'm choosing Christopher Bell's Matt Kenseth car because, well, I don't know, I just think it looks nice.
Now for the loser, I was gonna pick Kevin Harvick's 2001 throwback to the AOL ride he was supposed to drive, but I've already bitched enough about not using the original colors. So instead I'm choosing Garrett Smithley's Kevin Harvick Hunt for Busch car for a few reasons. First, just look at this thing, it's hideous. Also, Garrett failed to qualify and Brennan Poole needed a backup car, so they just gave him Garrett's car, which did not help the car look any better. Second, the original car only ran just 2 years prior.
Let me put it this way, a junior in high school is not nostalgic about their freshman year. The other throwbacks that year include, oh my god!
Brian Priest and Chase Briscoe's Talladega Nights car at Fall Talladega, Cole Custer's Kevin Harvick Mobile 1 car at Fall Bristol, Jeb Burton's Ward Burton car at Summer Daytona, Kyle Sieg's Davey Allison at Summer Daytona, Jeremy Clements' Kyle Petty Wood Brothers car at Homestead, Jeremy Clements' Dale Sr. 1980s Busch Series car at the Charlotte Roval, Kevin Harvick's first Cup win at the All-Star race, Kevin Harvick's 2014 championship car at Homestead, and all of Alpha Prime Racing's early 2000s Petty Enterprises car at Fall Darlington. Now this year, people started to realize that maybe Throwback Weekend's losing its appeal. By my math, only about 58% of the Cup field ran a throwback, and when I say my math, I mean I had Google do it because I'm stupid, but that's down compared to the first one in 2015, which had 63% of the field in throwbacks. 2016 had the highest participation with 87%.
And those numbers can vary depending on what your definition of a throwback is. Like, do you consider this a throwback?
I think this year's winner goes to Brennan Poole with his Kyle Petty Hot Wheels car, and the loser goes to the weekend in general, just for the loss in appeal. The only other throwback this year as of writing this is Corey Haim's Richard Petty 200th win car at Dover when he substituted for Eric Jones.
Oh man, that feels good to vent. You know, when a team really wants to honor something, they can really go all out. When they aren't half-assing it. Oh hey, my therapist finally got back to me. I am not your therapist, I am your garbage man. Please leave me alone. Well then where have all my copays been going?